What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Welcome back to the channel. I am Waiver Wire Queen. Today's episode, we're going to talk about some players you should be careful when deciding to draft in fantasy basketball. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of great content which will help you prepare for your upcoming fantasy basketball season. And let's talk about those players who have some great potential, but you should be cautious drafting them. Anthony Davis, forward/center with the Lakers. Now, Anthony Davis is a top 10 player when healthy. But the problem is he's rarely ever healthy. That is the main issue with Anthony Davis. He is a player you can draft in the first round, right? Yes. Not anymore, because he simply is unable to sustain any health. And you already know health is wealth. Availability is the most important thing. He is so injury prone that I would not touch him in the first two rounds. However, if Anthony Davis can at least give us 60 to 70 games, somewhere in between there, you have a steal at his current ADP. However, should you take a chance on him? It is very hard to take a chance on Anthony Davis, considering the last few seasons you simply haven't had him. So people have taken chances and drafted him in the first round or the second round, and there's no production because he's unable to be healthy. But again, when healthy, this player is a very good player, top 10 player. In 2020, he played 40 games. That's not good enough, especially if you're drafting a player in the first two rounds. And you got to think, this is not just one season. This is several seasons of playing less than 50, 60 games a year. He averaged 23.2 points per game. He's going to shoot a high percentage, and he shot 53.2% from the field, which is great. He's going to rebound the ball. He averaged 9.9 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 2.3 blocks, and 1.2 steals. Sounds like a great player. Sounds like a player you want in the first two rounds. But it's a risk that you just simply cannot afford to take a chance on, because the odds are against you, and you can't afford to get your picks wrong in the first two rounds, because if you mess up in the first round, chances are the season is going to be over for you. Have to hit on these first few picks, and taking a chance and drafting Anthony Davis that early is very risky. And the probability of Anthony Davis actually playing 60 games in a season anymore is highly unlikely. So be cautious when deciding to draft him. Make sure you do not draft him too early. If he is on your radar, they need to take the approach the Spurs take with load management. They need to really monitor his playing time and rest him, just to try to see if they can get him through a season where he can at least play 60 to 65 games. Because for our purposes in fantasy, it's just a hard risk to take. It's high risk, high reward if he's able to play at least 60 games. However, we know the probability of that is unlikely. So if you are deciding to draft Anthony Davis, do not draft him in the first two rounds. Okay, just don't do it. And when you do draft him, just know that the chances are that he may end up missing time, which may hurt your team. So be cautious drafting him. I'm fading him in 2022, and you should as well. Another player, be careful drafting, just be cautious, is Kawhi Leonard, forward with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, Leonard, when healthy, is probably a top 5 player in the NBA. One of the great things about Kawhi is he is a two-way player. I love two-way players. They are stat stuffers, because in Kawhi's situation, he's going to score the ball. He's going to rebound. He's going to get you some steals, blocks, and he's going to score at an efficient rate. He's going to have a good field goal percentage. But the thing is, with Kawhi, he's rarely ever healthy. He's always in and out of the lineup. And that is very, very risky for a first round pick and a second round pick. Kind of like with Anthony Davis. It's just not a risk you want to take if you're trying to win your league. But you do know that with Kawhi, he produces when he is on the court. It's just he's unable to be on the court for an extended period of time. Okay. It's very unfortunate. Okay. Top 10 player, top 5 player, pretty much in the NBA when healthy. But again, health is something that hasn't been on his side the last few seasons. But again, when healthy, what is he capable of doing? 24.8 points per game, over 51% from the field, over 39% from threes, 89% free throw shooter, 6.5 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 2 turnovers, and 1.6 steals. Again, he's a two-way player, and when healthy, he's going to produce like he is a top 5 player. But again, you cannot take that chance on him because of the probability of him missing a lot of time. You do not want to draft the player who you know has the chance of missing extended periods of time, which is going to impact your team in a negative manner. And with Kawhi, again, high risk, high reward, but are you going to take the chance? It's a hard decision, and you just got to be smart wherever you decide to draft him and hope that he is able to give you at least 60 games. If you can't give me at least 60 games, then that is a huge problem. And you have players who haven't given you a game. Kawhi didn't play last year, so that's the problem. If you draft him, say in a dynasty league, you didn't have him. Another player, high risk, high reward, but you really need to be cautious drafting is Michael Porter Jr. Back issues. That is a huge problem for an NBA player, right? If you have back issues, knee issues, seriously. Drafted as a rookie, didn't play his rookie season because of the back. Had his breakout season in 2021. We thought this was going to be the season where he actually stepped it up a little bit more and only played 9 games. But again, 2020 was promising. It was a career year. We got to see exactly why people were so hyped about Michael Porter because he can play basketball. He can play the game. He is just unable to remain healthy, but he is coming back this season for the Nuggets. Hopefully he is at full strength and is able to play the majority of the season. I think they should take the approach and make sure they rest him or monitor his minutes if they want him to be there at the end of the season, because he's shown us that he is unable to remain healthy for an extended period of time. But in 2020, when he had his career year, he had an excellent season. He averaged 19 points, shot over 54% from the field, over 44% from threes, 79.1% from the free throw line, averaged 7.3 rebounds, 1.1 assists, and 1.1 steals. Honestly, going into the 2021 season, I was predicting that, hey, this is going to be the season where he actually averages a double double. He's going to push his points up to 20 points a game, and he's going to hit 10 rebounds a game. But unfortunately, 9 games, it didn't happen. He didn't look good anyways in those 9 games. And most likely, you invested a higher pick than what he produced for those 9 games, which most likely negatively impacted your team because, again, the expectation was he was going to really have um, a very good year, another career type year, but it didn't happen. He is a high risk, high reward player, especially in a dynasty league because he is still young. But the biggest thing is health. Most of these guys on this list, you have to be cautious drafting them because it is about health. The concern is serious. And if you are unable to play for me, if you are unavailable, then you have no value for my team. I don't care if you're averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds. If you're not on my If you're in my IL slot and I cannot add you to my starting lineup, then you are not helping my team. And I don't care what the name of the player is or the player status. If they're unable to play, then they aren't helping your team. And you want players who are going to be able to help your team. Players are going to take some days off for rest and to manage some injuries. That is fine. But when we're talking extended period of time, like a lot of these players have on this list, that becomes a concern, and you have to be cautious drafting them. You don't want to reach and draft them, and you don't want to make a bad choice of not drafting them when you have the opportunity, but it has to be at the right spot. Kawhi Leonard out of this group should be the first player off the board, because I do feel like Kawhi is a top 5 player in the NBA when healthy, and we're hoping that he is going to be healthy this year and is going to be able to play. But again, I still wouldn't touch him in the first 2 rounds, because there's a lot of other players who will be available, and barring any injuries, they're going to help your team. And they haven't shown a pattern of consistently being out due to injuries. But again, injuries are part of the game, so you just never know what's going to happen. And another player who you should be cautious drafting is Ben Simmons, guard with the Nets. Hoping that Ben can get back to being on the court. He was a durable player to a certain extent for a few seasons with Philly. The thing is with Ben Simmons is he's not going to hit any threes, and he's not going to be making any shots outside of being around in the paint, and that is fine. With Ben Simmons, he is an excellent defender. He's a two-way player, and what I mean by that, it's going to play excellent defense. What will Ben do for you offensively? He's still capable of getting you 14, 15 points, and he's going to get you 6, 7 assists. And on the defensive side, he's going to get some steals, maybe some blocks. He's going to rebound the ball. You're getting a player who is capable of averaging a triple-double when healthy and playing at a high level. The thing is, you're not going to get three-point shooting from him, and you're not going to get he doesn't have a mid-range game. He's not a great shooter unless it's close within the paint. And that's fine, especially if he's efficient at it and his team is playing to his strengths. That is okay. But considering what happened with Philly after the playoffs, and him not playing a whole season, and then we thought he was going to come back for the Nets, and we're getting hyped up, and then he never came back. Just got to be concerned and hope that he's able to go this season. And honestly, he would be a steal wherever you draft him at, because with Ben Simmons, again, he's going to give you not even a little bit of everything. He's going to give you a lot of everything. He's going to rebound the ball at a high level. He's going to assist the ball at a high level. He's going to steal the ball, rebound the ball, blocks, and he's still, like I said, capable of getting you 13, 14, maybe even 15 points per game. And he's playing with players like Kevin Durant and Kyrie, so he doesn't have to focus on scoring the ball. You can just go out there and play defense. The scoring will come to him, because opposing teams' defense will be focused on Kyrie and KD. Get in the paint, score, get your 14, 15 points. It'll come much easier, because he doesn't have to worry about being the number 2. He is going to be the third option, which is fine for Ben Simmons. Again, he is going to be a great steal, but you still have to be cautious. And let's stop acting like Ben Simmons isn't a very good defender. If nothing else, even if he scores 10 points, he's still going to get you 7, 8 rebounds, 7, 8 assists. I expect him to still assist at a high level, regardless of playing with KD and Kyrie. You're playing with 2 guys who are capable of scoring the ball. So you know that chances are when you set them up, they're going to make the shot. So don't be afraid to draft Ben Simmons, but again, lower your expectations in regards to scoring. Okay, 2020, when he last played, he played 58 games. He averaged 14.3 points, shot over 55% from the field. So you see, he still shot a high percentage. So when people say, "Oh, he can't shoot," okay, well, he's shooting a high percentage within the areas that he is comfortable shooting, and that's in the paint. He needs to be in the paint. if Ben Simmons were to work on his shooting, work on that mid-range game, he would be an all-star consistently. Okay. He shot 30% from threes, which isn't very good, but it's expected. We know that, hey, he's not going to shoot a high percentage from threes. He only shot 61% from the free throw line. That should improve. Like, you want to see players improve every season. Unfortunately, when it comes to shooting, he hasn't. And he's okay with that. So the Nets are okay with that. And if you draft him in fantasy, you have to accept and be okay with, hey, Ben may not get me a high percentage in 3-point percentage or field goal percentage or free throw percentage. Well, I'll say this, in 3-point percentage and free throw percentage in the categories basically. But if he's staying in the paint and shooting and being set up within his area, in the paint area, he still will have a solid field goal percentage. He averaged 7.2 rebounds, 6.9 assists, and 1.6 steals and almost a block per game. So again, with Ben Simmons, you're getting a two-way player who is still capable of giving you a double-double and some nights a triple-double. And that is exactly what you want from a player. But again, just be cautious because the shooting percentages in regards to the 3-point shooting percentage and the free throw percentage is not going to be great. However, he's still capable of helping your team, and just be cautious based on everything that happened last year. Got to see if he's tuned in, if he's truly ready to come back and show everybody that he loves the game and he's here to play and be a high caliber two-way player for the Nets. Make sure you leave some comments and let me know your thoughts on these players that we discussed today in regards to, should you draft them or should you just pass on them and let someone else have the headache of dealing with the injuries? Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of great content which will help you prepare for your upcoming fantasy basketball season. Y'all have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to The Score for more fun and great advice on how to win at fantasy basketball. And if you've got comments or questions about The Score, send them to waiverwirequeen@gmail.com. The Score.